All right, so let's get started. Good morning, everyone. So, today, as usual, let's begin with quite a time for inner stillness. So, for the next 1 minute, just don't allow, or there is no pressure or anything. Just be with yourself. Just be. There is no objective. Just close your eyes. Just be and observe your own inner stillness. Take a few breaths and just be. All right. So, if you're back, we can get started. All right. So in the past, this week, if you just recap very quickly, all we see that the first day we started off with identities. So the identities is primarily the mind construct of who I am and what I should believe and what are my values and etc. With that belief comes a lot of attachments and a lot of things. And then we moved on to a place of awareness. So when I'm talking about awareness, it is a place of being a witness away from all those emotion and the dramas which just happens in our mind, being a witness of it. Then we moved on to a place of attachments and detachment. So that is a heavy subject as well, like how we form attachments and then non-attachments. I mean, actually, I have to clarify a little bit in terms of one of the question that I received was, is it non-attachment? Is it same as detachment, which I will touch upon quickly. And yesterday we discussed about impermanence. That is understanding the eternal truth that everything is subject to change, including our thought, our inner emotion. It is a constant cycle of change. It's nothing but the change. And understanding the impermanence is what yesterday we discussed about. Of course, these are all a kind of a heavy subject by itself, which can, it is not that easy to let go of all these things, be it our identity, our attachments, or even understanding the idea of impermanence. It's all tough. So today we just take a little bit of understanding, which actually come to a ending of all these four or all the states. It is by being aware of who we are letting go of our identities and attachments and understand the impermanence of things. That way, we reach a state which is called equanimity. So I'll go in before going into equanimity and what it is. I like to clarify the doubt one of you have was, is it non-attachment? Is it the same as detachment? Of course, it is not. The non-attachment comes from a place of, in a Buddhist saying or the practice, it is being fully present. You're attached at that moment completely. And you practice all those things, be it love, compassion, and empathy, sympathy, and joy, everything. However, the detachment, it is like, it's kind of you're running away from things. You're just like, you no more you're attaching to people, you're avoiding people, you're disliking it. You don't want to be a part of that. That is the difference between a non-attachment and detachment. And what we are practicing here, it is non-attachment, it is not detachment. With that being said, let's go into understanding of what is equanimity. So to give you a small background about equanimity, the equanimity, it is comes under one of the, it's from Buddhist teaching. And this is from one of the practice called Brahma Viharas. So the Brahma Viharas, I was introduced some time ago by another spiritual teacher. And these are the four Brahma Viharas. And all these four are referred as, it's kind of a blissful emotion to be in. Or the other way is four divine emotions. The four divine emotion is what the Brahma Viharas are, like, So the first one, what you're talking about is the loving kindness. The loving kindness is like, seeing and having kind towards every single being in this planet, everything, being the living being, non-living being. That is the first one, that is loving kindness. The second one, being compassionate. Being compassionate is relating with the others and taking their suffering as our own. That is completely relating with their suffering. It is being compassionate. And the third one, it is empathetic joy. That is feeling happy for others' good fortune. Like, it is as if we achieved all those things, being completely happy and joyous for others' achievement and things. And the fourth state of the divine emotion is equanimity. So the equanimity as a state, as you know, the equanimity, it is an equal or a balanced state of mind. And this is the state that we are talking about as a place of stillness as well, which doesn't get affected neither by highs of life or lows of life. It is a kind of being in a neutral place. Though everything can happen around us, however, we can have our own inner composure to be equal, like, be at a balanced state. And that is what we are going to explore in a bit about equanimity. So, to quickly help you with a metaphor of what it is like this. There is a one metaphor generally people refer this equanimity is a part of a story of two arrows. Two arrows is, for an example, you're going in a forest. There is one arrow that stuck you, it's come and hit you, and then you're feeling the pain and etc. And now the first arrow that hit you, you being an observer, when you are in a place, what you will do is you will just check the wound. Obviously you will see the wound, what happened to my leg or wherever it hit you, and then you observe what is happening there, and you will decide that, okay, how bad is the wound. I mean, you try to remove the arrow. Can I remove the arrow out? And be objectively look at whether with this wound will I be able to walk or I will not be able to walk. So you be much more of objectively witnessing what happened to you. It is like, everything that has been thrown to you in the life, your day-to-day life, it can be people reacting in certain way, which is happening to you, but you be a vigilant observer. You don't judge things. You don't make up a story or a drama. That is objectively you're witnessing the present moment as it is. And then comes a second arrow. The second arrow is a kind of a mental arrow. When I say a mental arrow, the same incident, whatever you felt, like the arrow that hit you, and now your mental voice starts going on. It will say, what a nonsense, I'm just walking here and someone just shot an arrow to me and then I'm hurt now. And then you start we start abusing the other person in a different way, and then start imagining things. Oh, will I ever be able to walk again? This is how bad is this wound? What if it becomes septic? And what if I have to remove my leg? And what if I go into my house and then my wife is not there? I'm already late to go home and etc. You start making up a mental constructs of whatever the thing happened. So what actually happened is the arrow that hit. Being objective and witnessing it, it is from the place of equanimity. That is a balanced state. You face some kind of a unfortunate event. However, you don't get carried away with the mental drama of the mind. So that's what we are talking about as equanimity. And where the equanimity can come in place, where and how it can help us. If you ask that question, all you can see is our life, most of our life, we go through ups and downs of life, right? So one way we can talk about, say, someone pricing us, right? Someone prices us excessively, we feel happy. Whereas the other time, when people blame us, we feel sad. And one time when we achieve success in our life, in any project or an event or anything, we feel glad and happy. And the other time, when we face with failure, we become sad. And then, you're talking about, say, pleasure. Anything that comes with the pleasure, we feel pleasurable and happy. On the other side, something happens which brings in pain, we feel sad. Same wise, it goes with the fame as well as misfortune or a kind of a disrespect from the others and etc. that affects us. So how to be in the state of balanced state of mind wherein we don't get affected by all these ups and downs of life. And that is what we are going to talk about. And this is not only completely related with Buddhism, even in we're talking about in Bhagavad Gita. Then Bhagavad Gita, there is a quite a thing. If you know about the three states of mind or three gunas, people talk about, or the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita talks about sattva, rajas, and tamas. So sattva is the state of inner composure, where we can maintain the inner composure and be calm and peaceful, blissful state. Whereas rajas, the rajas is an active state, the active state of we are excessively passionate, want to get things done. We are just moving, we are agitated, we are kind of in the getting things done state. And whereas tamas is a state of negative emotion or a negative cycle of being. And all these three states, be it be sattva, rajas, and tamas, we always go through in a constant flux. If you take a day, we go one point in time, we will be in absolute blissful place. And one time, we will want to get things done. We are in a rajas state. And whereas the tamas state is, sometimes something bothers us in our mind, and then we feel a little bit sad. We don't know what we are thinking itself, but we feel sad. So that is the place of tamas. So though Bhagavad Gita talks about these three states or three gunas, there is, Krishna tells Arjuna that there is a fourth level of state whereas few people attain. So those people are the one who's witnessing all these three states. They don't try to change anything. They don't say that, oh, sattva is the best state to be in, and I don't want to be in tamas, or I want to go into rajas. They don't classify or have any partiality between these three states. Rather, they be a witness of these three states. They don't have any hurry to go from one state to the other. They don't force their way. And that is a kind of being in equanimity, a state of mind which is balanced, which doesn't have a preference of ups and downs. So I'm sure this can bring some kind of an understanding of what I'm talking about as equanimity or a state of a balanced mind. So with that being said, we can talk about equanimity with a one story or a few examples. So that can just help us understanding a little more deepen our understanding about equanimity. So this is a very popular story. Whenever you read about equanimity, you will come across this story. So this is a story of a farmer who is has one valued possession, that is his horse. His horse is a very valued possession he had. And one day the horse runs away. So everyone in the village comes to him and then says, oh, how terrible it is. The only horse that you had, which helped you with all your work in your farm, now that also ran away. Now you don't have anything. And then the farmer replies to the villagers saying that, I don't know if it is really terrible. All I know is my horse ran away. That's all I know. That is the only truth. And then after a few days, the horse comes back with another 6 more horse. So this time the same villager comes to him and then say, oh, how fortunate you are. Your one horse that brought another 6 more, and now you become so wealthy and you're so rich now. For that, again, the farmer responds saying, I don't know whether I'm fortunate or not. All I know is now I have 7 horses. And one day, when his son tries to tame one of the horses, he just falls down and then breaks his leg. And now again, the villager comes to him and then say, again, a very unfortunate thing that happened to you. See, the horses that your horse brought in that made your son fall down and then broke his leg. For that, again, the farmer replies, I don't know whether it is unfortunate or not. All I know is my son broke his leg. And then it happened such a way that after a couple of days, after the son, broke his leg, there is the one who was recruiting people for the army. And just because his son was injured, they don't take him to the army. So that is a way of seeing. Now people again come and say, see how fortunate you are, just because your son broke his leg, he was not recruited, whereas our son are gone into the army. So this is an example to see that it's like a clouds in the sky. We have different seasons, different weather that happens. It goes on and on. Sometimes it is favorable, unfavorable. Whereas the state of mind, what we are in, when it is well balanced, you don't get attached to either of or neither of these states. It is neither the positive nor the negative state. And you allow and see life as it is. You just being a witness. And that is what equanimity we are talking about. And to give you a few, when I say examples, to relate much better, it is like, this, like as I said, a sky, you can see, we from earth, we can look up and see the sky and see all the clouds. Sometimes it's a brighter cloud, sometimes it is darker cloud. The clouds change its shapes and then goes on and on and on. We can go on. Either we can fix our attention to the cloud, which is moving, or we can fix our attention to an unmoving or unchanging part, which is a sky, right? The sky is the where all the clouds are passing through, and you can become a witness of the sky instead of the clouds. The clouds refer here to our thoughts, our mind, our inner state of running the stories. And likewise, when you're talking about awareness, this is what, like, being completely aware of what is happening around us. And the other thing, like, for an example, wherever you're sitting at this moment, you observe a space around you, right? There's a space. So the space always existed, like, it is always there. It doesn't change. I'm not talking about silence here. I'm talking about an empty space around you. So that space doesn't get affected at all. No matter, like, you move your furniture around, you move your things around, it doesn't affect the space. And also, the space was there all the time. Before even we built the house, or I am sitting in an apartment, before this four walls was there, that space was always there. And even if after hundreds and 200s of years, like, even the people bring down this whole apartment, this space, wherever you are right now, it is going to be there. There is nothing changes this space of being. And everything around it, it is changes, but not the space itself. And that is what, when I'm referring it to as an awareness, a place of unchanging self. And that is a place we are talking about inner stillness and the place of equanimity, a balanced mind. And the other thing is, it is like a canvas. There needs a canvas. You can paint in a canvas, but you need a canvas first, right? The canvas is not changing. You can paint on top of it. The painting is changing. So we can go on with these examples. I'm sure, like, if you have any doubts with equanimity, you can ask now. And then we will go into how, 1 minute, there is a aeroplane here, I believe, just a second. Yes. So now that we looked at what is equanimity, a state of a balanced mind. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now. And then we'll go into how we can practice equanimity. And then we'll go into a small practice session for being mindful. So if you have any questions, you may ask, or you can type it in the chat or open up. Okay. So, Sucharita, so you want to, like, brief about Brahma Viharas. And
Yes, please, like very quickly. I missed a couple of things.
okay. So the Brahma Viharas are four divine emotion, right? When you say four divine emotion, is the state of a good state to be in. And the first Brahma Vihara we are talking about is loving uh, kindness. When I say loving kindness, is being kind to all. Like, we love everyone, every being, everything. That is loving kindness. The second one we're talking about being compassionate. The compassionate is like, seeing others suffering as our own suffering. We would completely relate and being compassionate with the other being. The third one is empathetic joy. The empathetic joy is you feel happy for others' success, and whatever the others face, you feel complete happiness for others. The fourth one, it is equanimity. The equanimity is a state of balanced mind. These are the four. And in Sanskrit, or like, the Pali, they talk about in a different way. That is Maitri, Karuna, and mudita, and upiksha. So these are the four things. Like, whatever I said, it translates into these four. As maitri is loving kindness, and karuna, it's compassion, and mudita, it is empathetic joy, and upiksha, it is this one, equanimity. Equanimity is upiksha. Is it clear, or do you want me to brief more, Sucharita?
No, this is good. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So that being said, um, is there any questions? So if we can just quickly move on then. All right. So the first way to practice this equanimity is being completely aware, being constantly mindful about what is happening. So that is the first and foremost thing, right? So we can change, like, our thoughts can come and thoughts can go. The emotion can come, emotion can go. Sensation can come and go. But then we being a complete aware person, yeah. So we being complete aware person, we just become a witness of these things. We don't get caught up in all these emotions. So that is being complete mindfulness. So that is what we discussed about being an aware, a person who's completely aware of things, not just a thought, not relating to the thought, but an observer of a thought. That's the first way of being mindful. And the second one is it's kind of like, you relate one with everyone and every being. That is feeling oneness. You see everyone as a reflection of you. Everything, like, this microphone I see, you see it as a reflection of you. That way, naturally, your state is your peaceful state. Because your own self, like, you if you hurt yourself, for an example, by mistakenly, you don't, like, beat yourself up. So likewise, if someone does something to you, still you will accept that willingly. If they bring in happiness, still you accept them. So that is a kind of a place we are talking about, being completely one with things around us. And finally, when you're talking about, like, the balanced state of being towards everything, when I say balanced state of emotion is, so even if you have pets at home or things, like, you be non-attached, not detached, but non-attached. At the same time, you also know that everything is there at this moment. You fully enjoy and be present with those things. So with that said, like, we move on to the exercise part of it. And today's exercise, like, I want to keep it very simple. No visualization or taking you away from it. But then, like, it is simple meditative meditation, whereas you're going to meditate. And for a change, there is no restriction. Like, when I say restriction, about, like, one single focus on your breath or the other thing. You can allow your mind to wander off. It can be with your sensation. You can acknowledge the sensation, allow your mind to wander. You let it feel what it is. Let it absorb the sensation. And if you're any emotion that you're feeling, for a good, bad, whatever the sensation maybe it is, you allow and be with the sensation without any judgment though. And even if any kind of a thought comes, thought goes, you don't put an active effort to stop the thoughts. Instead, you allow the thoughts to be there. And then in this practice, the only thing that I want to tell you is that we also, time to time, we have to bring our attention back to our breath. So what I will be doing is, with the moment we start this exercise, I will, like, maybe after say 20 seconds or so, I can remind you to bring your attention back to your breath. So that time you can focus back on your breath and continue the same thing. You can allow whatever. If you're not getting any thoughts, it's absolutely fine. If you are getting thought, that is also fine. You allow to be there and be a witness of all this changing climates. It can be your thoughts, it can be your emotion, or your physical discomfort or sensation. With that being said, let's get into a practice of quickly. So just notice your thoughts, notice your things, be mindful, bring your attention back to breath. So can we start? You can quickly just type S so that I know that everyone is comfortable in your place and we can start the meditation right now. All right. So I'll play a music. I just quickly want to check with you. Is it disturbing you or it is helping you? Just observe for a minute probably and you can tell me whether it is fine. is that background music? Am I audible? Just please someone acknowledge me so that I know. Uh,
It's but the volume seems to be very low.
it's very high, is it?
Low, low.
Oh, low.
I think it's okay now.
It's okay now? Okay. Okay. So if I'm audible as well as the music that can help you relax or good of it. All right, so make yourself comfortable wherever you are. So make yourself comfortable. Just relax a bit. And I have a soft glance around. Only have to close your eyes. Don't have to close your eyes. You can have a soft glance around and observe your breath. Out. As you feel relaxed, you may close your eyes. Back your natural rhythm. At this moment, gently notice any discomfort or a tension in your body. If you find any tension, just relax. Relax the part of this. As you're getting relaxed, scan for any kind of a sensation in your body. Scan from your head to toe, slowly. Scan through your body. If you find any sensation, just acknowledge the sensation. As you acknowledge the sensation, now observe your mind, your inner state of emotion. And acknowledge that state of your inner state of your emotion. As you acknowledged your inner state and your emotion, it's time to scan your mind for any kind of a thoughts. The thoughts are absolutely fine. Thoughts may come or may go. Allow the thoughts to be there. Fine. You're just noticing. You're just being a witness of your own self. So allow the thoughts, allow the sensation, allow the emotion to be. Starting now, you may start focusing on any kind of a sensation or a discomfort or any kind of an emotion or a thought that you're feeling at this moment. And I will remind you to get back your attention back to your breath time to time. So allow, just scan your body, scan your thoughts, scan your mind, and see and witness your inner emotion. Just notice. It is okay to get carried away with the thoughts, emotion, and your sensation. It's absolutely okay. Allow yourself to have those sensations and thoughts. Be with the thought, be with the sensation, be with that emotion or inner state. At this moment, bring your attention back to your breath. Take few deep breaths and observe your breath. You just witnessed how your mind wanders away. And it is very natural state of a mind to wander away. It can feel the sensation, thoughts, and emotion. It is absolutely okay. Allow your mind to wander off again, starting now. It's time to bring your attention. Bring your attention to your breath. Just witness what's going on in your body and in your mind, and your inner state of being. Without any judgment, you observe all the sensation, all the thoughts, all the emotion as it is, without any judgment. Now, once again, allow your mind to wander off with any sensation, any thoughts, or emotion that you may feel now. Your attention. You just witness how it is a nature of your mind to wander off. And being a witness of it, you don't get affected by this wandering nature of your mind or the sensation you feel in your body. You being a witness, balance, let the mind wander, let the senses rise and go away, completely okay. With this place of being, complete being a witness, you have a kind of a balanced mind at this moment. From this balanced mind, allow yourself and just be. You don't need any kind of an effortful action. Just allow yourself to witness and be in the stillness for a few seconds. From this place of inner stillness, you being a witness and a pure awareness, nothing can take away the inner balance of your mind, which is good. It doesn't get affected by whatever the thought will come, any kind of a sensation that you are your inner being, the true being of inner stillness. It doesn't, as you see the witness, bring your awareness back to the place where you are. Observe the sound around you. Bring that attention back to your completion that you feel at this moment. Gently witness the state you are presently in. You being a witness, just witness what is your inner state right now is. And whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes and come back to the right. Go ahead. Turn off. All right, come back. So this mindfulness exercise, it is primarily that, we've been told some of the meditation practice that you have to focus on certain things. It can be our breath, or it can be some like, a mantra or some kind of a chanting or something, a visual object we focus on. Whereas this level of mindfulness practices primarily allowing ourselves to go through all those things. You don't fixate on one thing, rather, you allow yourself to go with the flow of your body, with your mind, and your emotion, and you be just a witness of it. You don't attach to any of these things. With that being said, we come to a conclusion of today's session. And thank you so much for joining me in the day 10. And now we may wrap up this session, open up for Q&A. If you have any questions with respect to equanimity, and if you find it little difficult to understand or comprehend, you may ask now. We can have a discussion about that.
Hi Karthik, Sucharita here.
Yes, Sucharita, please.
Karthik, so would you say equanimity is uh, like a person's composure in themselves with respect to the situation they are in?
Mhm.
Is that it?
It is a composure, but then the composure doesn't get affected by neither good nor bad. So the generally the composure we find when there is nothing negative happening around us, right? So generally we feel happy, peaceful, joyous, and all those state when things are in our favor. But what happens when things are not in our favor, and how we can be still? I mean, we can be in a stillness or balanced mind, even in an adverse situation, even in a not preferable situation. So that is what Sucharita, it means being balanced and not getting affected by ups and lows of life. You just be balanced. You just be still.
Got it. And is there, okay, this question might be odd, but is there a hack to get there? Because I would I would imagine this is a very, very long process and probably it won't have any shortcuts getting there. But can we perhaps have a few tools to get to this
Yeah.
state?
Sucharita, there is only one shortcut or a hack, which I know of, which is being completely aware of what is happening to us. Because most often, whatever we discuss, be our identities, our attachments, or even understanding impermanence and etc., it is just help us understand that the thoughts can come, thought can go. And we have to be completely aware of what is going on in our mind. So there we have to detach ourselves, right? So we will explore one of the hack maybe in the coming session, maybe tomorrow. And I'll quickly talk about how we can bring our awareness back to the present place. That we will discuss tomorrow. All right. So the hack is have awareness of what is going on. Instead of getting lost in our thoughts, we be aware of the thoughts.
I have experienced that that kind of awareness sometimes could be so daunting. Actually, like a lot of times it could be
Okay.
so daunting because I think there's a certain sense of right and wrong that has been handed down to us.
Yes.
Yeah. And um, you being aware would be you just like you explained the three gunas, you
Mm-hmm.
being aware of whatever is happening around you
Mm-hmm.
would be a lot of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your mind quickly categorizes that particular situation into a good, bad, ugly. And then I mean, there's this certain dwell that happens in the head. So that, when I say daunting, that is what I mean. That is what happens in that moment. So I think naturally you tend to lose composure in a moment like that. So there's this inner scream even though you're socially trying to just like
Mm-hmm.
keep a very stable composure.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where my questions were cropping from.
Right. See, we losing our composure is a very natural thing again, right? So we get disturbed. Sometimes when I'll be focusing and I'll doing my work, my son screams from one side, right? At that point in time, my inner place of focus, it gets disturbed. But then how fast we can bring our awareness back to it and then find what we can do at that moment. Instead of thinking I can build up a story around it, say that, oh my God, I cannot even work at this place peacefully, right? So my son is making all the noise. I have to get out of this place. All these things are added layers to it. Instead, I can say, okay, what can I do now? Probably I can go into a room and work, or maybe use our earphones or headphones and work. So that way, you're not completely reacting to the external situation, but you're trying to do what you can do at that moment in a very objective way. So yes, it is difficult to be there, right? So our mind want to associate with something. That is where we talked about, we started off with identity is the reason for identity of good and bad and right and wrong and all these things are, those are the ones who are holding us down. In a way, our own definitions of what is right and wrong constantly comes up and say and justify our own behavior. Even if we shout at him, like, if I'm shouting at my son because of his screaming while I'm working, my sense of right comes in is he should know that when the parents are working, he should not shout, right? So if I'm not doing that, then I'm not disciplining my son in a right way. So I will justify my own behaviors in such a way, and then I will go on and react. Rather, I can do the same thing from a different place. I can call my son, and maybe not the immediately, but after a few minutes or so, and I can have a conversation with him and explain to him in a much more composed way, or me being still. So that is what we are talking about, being aware of all this emotion, not losing your inner composure. Maybe for a moment or two, that's fine, but bringing back your composure and handle the situation in a graceful way. Does that make
Yeah,
sense, Sucharita?
it does. It does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Siddharth.
No, I would just like to add on to
Sure.
what you just said. I just feel that every time when you're put in a certain situation,
Mhm.
react in a certain way. And I consciously use the word react because reaction is more from an emotional standpoint, right?
Right.
Uh, Perhaps a better word to use is respond. And I think it's the transition that we're trying to make from reacting to responding.
True.
And the difference being when you are put in that adverse situation, it's always an opportunity for you to see how is it that you react right now.
You're
But
right.
the movement should be towards how is it that you can respond to that situation in a more positive manner when you're more self-aware about what is happening. And I feel life always presents you with such situations, right? You're never going to be perfect. You're not going to have a perfect day where everything goes according to plans.
Exactly.
And it is from those experiences that you try to polish yourself, polish your response, and over a period of time, you'll probably become equanimous. And perhaps that's a hack in itself, right? Where even today, the
Mhm.
fact that something goes wrong, how is it that I'm reacting? But if I create that awareness about myself and trying to just analyze what went wrong, why is it that I felt a certain way?
True.
Uh, let's take a small example. Like if I am giving a test and if it's a time test and I'm trying to, sweat it out, I'm not able to
Mhm.
do well. If I can just pause after it and analyze, okay, so what exactly was the problem? Was it the test was timed, or the fact that I was not able to solve those questions when it was timed? Was that pressure getting onto me? I think that awareness in itself makes us a little more calm about how to handle these situations which are always around us. Uh, and just to take a leaf out of Buddha's book. I think it was Buddha who said that if you want to know how to learn how to not get angry, you need to be put in those situations and learn. I mean, that's the best teacher for you, right? You can never
True.
always learn about it by reading, but that's going to be of less use. What is more useful is if you are put in such situations and then you evolve over a period of time. Just my 2 cents that I wanted to add
No, it
along
is
with.
beautiful, Siddharth. Thank you so much for sharing, Siddharth. As you rightly said, yes, we have to test our, waters by being in the situation. It is not by reading or intellectual understanding. That doesn't help at all, right? So as you rightly said, we need to have to create or develop the habit of responsibility. If you remember the first day that we talked about is primarily the whole purpose of the inner stillness is not reaching or renouncing things and become a spiritual gurus or renounce everything and go off, but then be in a place of stillness where it improves our response ability to things what is happening around us and react or not react, respond in a graceful way. That is what I talk about, a responsibility of our life. When we take responsibility of our life, it's nothing but our response ability to any outward situation that may come to us. So that's, thank you so much, Siddharth, for sharing the valuable thing. And glad that I can hear from you. Yes. So is there anyone else wanted to share? If not, we will conclude the session for today. Thank you so much. And today we complete day 10 and another 11 more days to go. Stay with me and let's take the journey together. If any way that you think that we can improve the process or may have deeper our understanding of any of the things, please reach out to me and we can discuss more. Thank you so much. With that, let's end the meeting for today.
Thank you.